Did you know that at this very moment, as you listen to these words, there may be people around you blocking your light without you realizing it? What if I told you that the universe has already sent clear signals, direct spiritual warnings for you to protect yourself and free yourself from these energies that prevent your brilliance from reaching its full potential? Geminis, pay close attention to this video, because today we will reveal 12 powerful spiritual warnings that the divine has prepared especially for your sign, messages that will show you exactly who you need to leave behind so that your luminous essence can finally manifest in all its magnitude. If you were born under the sign of Gemini, you know very well how communicative, vibrant, full of ideas, and brimming with contagious energy you are, naturally attracting people. This light you carry isn't just any glow. It's a spiritual force with the power to inspire, transform, and uplift everything and everyone around you. But here's the problem you may not have clearly realized. Not everyone who approaches you is prepared for this intensity. There are people who, consciously or not, drain your energy, extinguish your enthusiasm, and place barriers between you and your true potential. These 12 spiritual warnings didn't reach you by chance. The universe has perceived that you are ready for a deep cleansing, for a liberating movement that will completely transform your journey. Each warning we will share here carries with it an ancient truth, a wisdom that has been kept especially for this moment in your life. And if you stay until the end of this video, you will understand not only who needs to leave your life, but also how to identify these blocking energies before they cause greater harm. Prepare your heart, because today's revelations will forever change how you see your relationships and your own worth. First warning: stay away from those who diminish your ideas. Gemini, the first spiritual warning the universe brings you today is powerful and needs to be listened to with complete attention. You need to immediately distance yourself from all people who belittle your ideas, ridicule your thoughts, or treat your creativity as if it were unimportant. Your Gemini mind is a divine gift, an inexhaustible source of inspiration, innovation, and infinite possibilities. When someone tries to extinguish this intellectual brilliance that you naturally possess, that person is not only being negative, they are directly blocking the spiritual mission you came to fulfill in this life. Understand one fundamental thing about your nature. You were created to think differently, to question the established order, to bring new perspectives to old situations. Your ability to see multiple angles of the same issue, to process information quickly, and to connect seemingly unrelated ideas is not a flaw, it's your greatest gift. But when you surround yourself with people who don't recognize this value, who constantly invalidate your contributions, or who make you feel foolish for expressing your thoughts, your light begins to dim little by little. You start to question yourself, to keep your ideas to yourself, to silence your unique voice, and that is exactly the opposite of what the universe planned for you. Think carefully about the people around you right now. How many of them are truly excited when you share a new project? How many truly listen when you share a discovery that thrilled you? And how many, on the contrary, roll their eyes, quickly change the subject, or respond with a dismissive tone that makes you feel inadequate? These reactions are not innocent, my dear Gemini. They reveal a deep energetic incompatibility, an inability of these people to vibrate at the same frequency as you. And the universe is telling you now, through this first warning, that keeping these people around is costing you too much for your spiritual development. The truth is, people who belittle your ideas usually do so because they themselves are afraid to shine. They project onto you the very limitations they carry within themselves. When you emerge full of enthusiasm and possibilities, you automatically mirror to these people everything they lack the courage to be. And instead of being inspired by your light, they try to extinguish it to feel less uncomfortable with their own mediocre choices. This isn't about you, it never was. But if you continue to allow these energies to occupy space in your life, you will end up internalizing these criticisms and limiting yourself in ways you can't even imagine yet. The universe wants you to understand that protecting your ideas is protecting your essence. When you allow yourself to dream big, when you dare to think outside the box, when you follow the natural curiosity that pulsates in your Gemini heart, you are fulfilling your divine purpose. You are contributing to the world in a unique way that only you can offer. But if you continue to surround yourself with people who don't value this, who treat your genius as if it were madness or exaggeration, you are allowing them to block not only your light, but also all the incredible paths that this light. And the divine is asking you to make a conscious decision to create distance, to protect your mental space, to choose to associate with those who recognize and celebrate the richness of your inner world. Your brilliant mind deserves to be nurtured, not stifled. And this is the first essential step for you to recover the full power of your natural light. Second warning. Distance yourself from those who do not respect your need for freedom. The second spiritual warning the universe has prepared for you, Gemini, speaks directly to something sacred in your nature, your absolute need for freedom. You urgently need to distance yourself from all the people who try to hold you back, who want to control you, or who make you feel guilty for needing space to breathe. Freedom is not a whim for Gemini. It's a spiritual need as vital as the air you breathe. And when someone tries to limit that freedom, that person is directly blocking the flow of your vital energy, preventing you from being who you truly came to be in this world. Understand something important about your essence. You were made to explore, to experiment, to experience multiple realities, and to move between different worlds. Your Gemini soul doesn't fit in gilded cages, isn't satisfied with rigid routines, and definitely doesn't thrive in suffocating relationships where your every move needs to be justified or approved. When you feel free, when you are allowed to be fluid, to change interests, to explore new directions, your light shines with impressive intensity. But when someone tries to imprison you, whether through excessive demands, unhealthy jealousy, or rigid expectations, your vital energy simply begins to wither. Now think honestly about the relationships you currently maintain. Are there people in your life who make you feel guilty for wanting alone time? Who complain when you show interest in new things? Who demand that you always be available, always present, always predictable? These people may even say they act this way because they love you, because they care, because they want the best for you. But the spiritual truth that the universe wants you to see is very different. These attitudes reveal deep insecurity, a need for control, and a total misunderstanding of your essential nature. And keeping these people close is costing you your inner peace and blocking your spiritual growth. The freedom you need isn't irresponsibility, abandonment, or lack of commitment. It's simply the ability to be who you are without constantly having to conform to others' expectations. It's being able to say that today you want to be quiet without having to give elaborate explanations. It's being able to get excited about a new hobby without hearing criticism about inconsistency. It's being able to change your mind when you learn something new without being accused of being false or confused. This freedom of movement, of thought, of exploration, is the oxygen of the Gemini soul. And when someone tries to restrict this, no matter their intentions, the result is always the same. You feel imprisoned, suffocated, and your natural light begins to fade. The universe is showing you now that you have every divine right to choose relationships that honor your need for space. Mature and self-assured people don't feel threatened by your independence. They understand that freedom doesn't diminish love. On the contrary, it strengthens it. They trust you, respect your pace, celebrate your explorations, and give you space to fly, knowing that you always return to those who truly matter. These are the people who deserve to be in your life, those who understand that trying to hold onto a Gemini is like trying to hold water in your hands. The more you squeeze, the more escapes. So, seriously reflect on who in your life is trying to put you in a box that doesn't fit your essence. Who are the people who make you feel guilty for being exactly who you are? Who transforms your natural need for variety into something negative? Who accuses you of being fickle when in reality you are only following the wisdom of your soul, which knows that life was made to be experienced in all its diversity? The second spiritual warning is clear. These people are blocking your light through emotional manipulation disguised as care. And you need to have the courage to create healthy distance, to establish firm boundaries, to choose your freedom over the need to please those who don't understand you. Your soul needs space to dance, and no one has the right to stop this sacred dance. If this message resonated with your zodiac sign, trust me, it's no coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal, and you're here because you needed to hear this today. Your contribution as a subscriber or member is what keeps these messages alive. Messages that touch, awaken, and transform lives. And if this video made sense to you, leave your birth date in the comments. Let's continue with our video now. Third warning. Get rid of those who spread heavy and negative energy. The third spiritual warning that the divine brings to you today is about something that deeply affects your energetic sensitivity. You need to get rid of all the people who spread heavy, negative, and toxic energy around you. Geminis, you possess a very special characteristic that is not always understood. You are like energetic sponges. Your airy, light, and communicative nature causes you to absorb the vibrations of the environment and the people you live with very quickly. And when you spend too much time with someone who is always complaining, who only sees problems, who is constantly immersed in drama and negativity, your own light begins to lose its shine. You need to understand that negative energy isn't just unpleasant, it blocks your path. When you surround yourself with pessimistic people who only talk about tragedies, who turn any situation into a reason for lament, who refuse to see possibilities for improvement, you are literally bathing in a dense vibration that gradually contaminates your own frequency. You are a being of light, born to connect with the best in life, to explore possibilities, to find creative solutions, to see the interesting side even in difficult situations. But how can you do that if you are surrounded by people who insist on pulling you into the pit of negativity? Think about your daily interactions. Is there that person who, every time you meet, only has bad news to share? The one who turns a light conversation into an endless rant about everything that's wrong in their life? The one who, when you share something good that happened to you, immediately points out all the potential problems instead of rejoicing together? These people may not even have bad intentions, but the effect they have on your energy is devastating. Each encounter leaves you feeling exhausted, heavy, and discouraged. You leave these interactions wanting to sleep, to isolate yourself, to give up on your own dreams. And this is no coincidence. It's the direct result of absorbing energy that doesn't match your natural vibration. The universe is warning you now that keeping these people around is not an act of kindness or loyalty. It's an act of self-sabotage. You are not helping anyone by serving as an emotional dumping ground for people who refuse to seek solutions to their own problems. You are not being a good friend by allowing someone to repeatedly dump negativity on you without any movement toward change. In fact, by accepting this role, you are allowing these people to remain stagnant in their own destructive patterns, while simultaneously compromising your own journey of light. It's a double loss that the divine no longer wants you to accept. Understand also that there is a huge difference between supporting someone who is going through a difficult time and being constantly drained by someone who chooses to live in negativity. We all face challenges, we all need a friendly shoulder at some point. But the people who truly deserve your support are those who, even in difficulty, maintain some openness to hope, who actively seek to improve the situation, who don't turn you into a captive audience for their endless drama. The people who block your light are those who have settled into permanent complaining, who have become addicted to their own negativity, and who unconsciously try to drag you into that same hole. Your luminous energy is too precious to be wasted on those unwilling to evolve. You have a spiritual mission to spread lightness, constructive communication, renewing ideas, and multiple perspectives that help people see beyond their problems. But you can only fulfill this mission if you are vibrating at the right frequency. And for that, you need to make conscious choices about who you share your energy with. The third warning is direct. Identify the energy vampires in your life, those people who drain your vitality without giving anything constructive in return, and start creating distance. This can be done by reducing contact, establishing clear boundaries about what topics you are willing to listen to, or in more serious cases, cutting off the relationship completely. Your light needs to be protected, and distancing yourself from negative energy is an act of self-love and respect for your spiritual mission. Fourth warning. Abandon those who compete instead of celebrating yourself. The fourth spiritual warning that the universe has prepared for Gemini today speaks of a very subtle, but extremely harmful type of energy blockage. You need to completely abandon people who compete with you instead of celebrating your achievements. Gemini, your nature is naturally inclined towards exchange, genuine connection, and relationships where there is mutual admiration and shared joy. When you achieve something important, when you shine in some area of life, what your soul seeks is to have people by your side who genuinely rejoice in your success. But if you are surrounded by envious people disguised as friends, by people who secretly root against you, your light is being blocked by competitive energies that shouldn't even exist in your relationships. Let's talk openly about this because it happens far more often than people admit. There are individuals who approach you not because they truly value you, but because they constantly want to measure themselves, prove they are better, and diminish your achievements to feel superior. These people have a morbid need to turn everything into a competition. When you share good news, they immediately tell you about something bigger they've accomplished. When you're happy with progress, they point out where you still fall short. When you receive praise, they find a way to deflect attention to themselves. And all of this happens so subtly that you often don't even consciously realize it, but your energy senses it, your heart knows that something is wrong with this dynamic. The universe wants you to understand that true relationships have no room for competition. True friends, family who genuinely love you, mature romantic partners. All these people feel happy when you thrive. They don't feel threatened by your brilliance because they trust in their own worth. They know that your light doesn't dim theirs. On the contrary, when you shine together, the brightness increases for everyone. But insecure people, people who haven't made peace with their own limitations, people who always measure their own worth in comparison to others, these are the ones who will try to dim your light so that theirs seems brighter. And keeping these people around is like trying to run a marathon with weights tied to your ankles. Now pay attention to the signs. When you share an achievement, observe people's genuine reaction. Do their eyes shine with true joy, or do you perceive a hint of discomfort, of poorly disguised envy? Do they ask interested questions wanting to know more about your victory? Or do they quickly change the subject or downplay what you've accomplished? Do they congratulate you sincerely? Or does the praise come with a "but" that casts a shadow over your joy? These subtleties reveal everything. And the spiritual warning here is that you should stop ignoring these signs. Your Gemini intuition is powerful. You perfectly sense when someone's energy towards you isn't clean, but often you rationalize, you make excuses, you try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And while you do this, these competitive energies continue to block your light. The truth you need to accept is that some people simply can't handle your success. It's not your fault, there's nothing you can do to change it, because the problem lies within them. And continuing to try to gain the approval of those who secretly envy you is a waste of your precious energy. You don't need fake applause, empty praise, or people who hug you to your face but speak ill of you behind your back. You deserve and need relationships where there is transparency, where admiration is real, where support is unconditional. And to make room for these incredible people into your life, you first need to have the courage to let go of those who are occupying space unduly. The fourth warning is a call for you to honestly and brutally assess who truly supports you. Who are the people who celebrate enthusiastically when you achieve something? Who are the ones who support you even when you're achieving things they themselves would love to have? Who can genuinely rejoice in your success without feeling that it diminishes their own? These are the people who deserve to be in your inner circle. As for those who turn every achievement of yours into a silent battleground, they need to be gently removed from your life. You don't need to fight, you don't need to explain, you don't need to create drama. Simply start sharing less with those who don't know how to celebrate. Start investing more energy in those who truly lift you up. Your light is too powerful to be blocked by petty envy, and the universe is now inviting you to choose to shine surrounded only by those who have the emotional maturity to rejoice in it. Fifth warning: break up with those who ignore your emotional sensitivity. The fifth spiritual warning that the divine brings to you today, dear Gemini, touches on something that is often misunderstood about your sign. You need to immediately break with all the people who ignore, invalidate, or ridicule your emotional sensitivity. There is a very unfair stereotype about Geminis that says you are superficial, only rational, disconnected from emotions. And this couldn't be further from the truth. You feel deeply, Gemini. You have a sensitive heart that gets hurt, that gets emotional, that needs care. The difference is that you often express these feelings differently, through words, through movement, through the need to verbally process what you are feeling. And when you live with people who don't respect this particular way of dealing with emotions, your emotional light is completely blocked. Think about how many times you've tried to share a feeling and been interrupted, deflected, or heard something like, "You overthink. You're exaggerating. It's not that big of a deal." These seemingly innocent phrases carry a devastating message. Your feelings aren't valid. Your way of processing emotions is wrong. You should be different than you are. And when you internalize these messages repeatedly, something terrible happens inside you. You begin to disconnect from your own sensitivity. You begin to repress what you feel. You begin to over-rationalize to avoid being vulnerable, because you've learned that vulnerability with these people results in invalidation and pain. And this emotional blockage prevents your light from shining fully, because an essential part of who you are remains locked away, hidden, denied. The universe wants you to understand that your way of dealing with emotions is perfectly valid and healthy. You need to talk about what you feel. You need to verbally explore the different layers of what's happening inside you. You sometimes need to quickly shift from one feeling to another while internally processing what each emotion means. This isn't instability, it's emotional intelligence in action. It's your quick mind trying to understand the complex territory of the heart. But when you're surrounded by impatient people who want you to simply get over things quickly, who aren't available to truly listen to what you need to express, you feel misunderstood at your deepest core. And this feeling of not being seen emotionally is one of the most painful ways to have your light blocked. Now reflect on the relationships you maintain. Are there people in your life who demonstrate genuine patience in listening to you process what you feel? Who ask questions, who truly want to understand, who don't judge when you need to revisit the same issue several times until you gain clarity? Or are you surrounded by people who sigh impatiently, who look at their watches, who make you feel like an emotional burden? The difference between these two types of company is the difference between nurturing your light and stifling it. People who truly love you understand that you need space to express yourself emotionally, and they generously offer that space because they know that's how you heal, how you grow, how you become stronger. The fifth warning also brings a difficult but necessary truth. Some people simply lack the emotional capacity to be there for you in the way you need. It's not necessarily because they are bad, but because they themselves are disconnected from their own emotions, or because they never learned to create safe space for the vulnerability of others. And continuing to invest emotional energy in those who don't know how to receive, in those who don't know how to honor your sensitivity, is a guaranteed path to suffering and the blocking of your emotional light. You deserve relationships where you can be fully yourself, where you can cry if you need to, get excited if you want, have mood swings, be complex, and be human in all your emotional richness. So the spiritual invitation here is for you to do a deep cleansing. Identify who in your life truly holds the space for your emotions and who constantly makes you feel like you're too much, that you feel too much, that you complicate things too much. People in the first group deserve more of your presence, more of your trust, more of your vulnerability. Those in the second group need to be kept at a safe emotional distance, where they don't have the power to hurt your sensitivity. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to apologize for feeling what you feel. You don't need to become less emotional to fit into other people's limitations. You do need to choose to share your precious heart, only with those who know how to honor this gift. Your sensitivity is part of your light, and protecting it is protecting the very essence of what makes you special in this world. Sixth warning. Let go of those who can't keep up with your growth rate. The sixth spiritual warning that the universe has prepared for you touches on something fundamental to the Gemini nature. You need to let go of all the people who cannot keep up with your natural speed of growth, evolution, and transformation. Gemini, you are a being in constant internal movement, always learning, always expanding, always transforming into more evolved versions of yourself. This is one of your most beautiful characteristics, and one most aligned with your spiritual purpose. But when you maintain ties with stagnant people who refuse to evolve, who are afraid of change, who want to keep you trapped in the old version of yourself that they knew, your light of expansion is brutally blocked. Let's talk about something you may have already noticed but were afraid to admit. You grow up fast. You're not the same person you were 6 months ago. You don't think the way you did last year. You don't want the same things you wanted a few years ago. And that's wonderful. That's a sign of a living, conscious soul on a full evolutionary journey. But this accelerated growth naturally creates distance between you and people who have chosen to remain in the same place. And here lies the danger. Out of fear of losing these relationships, out of guilt, out of a misunderstood sense of loyalty, you often try to hold yourself back, try to diminish yourself, try to pretend you haven't changed that much. And every time you do that, you are betraying your own soul. You are purposefully blocking your light so as not to bother those who have been left behind. The universe wants you to understand a liberating truth. You are not obligated to grow at the same pace as anyone else, and no one is obligated to keep up with you if they are not ready. Each soul has its own timing for evolution, and this needs to be respected by both sides. But what cannot happen is you sacrificing your growth to maintain relationships that have already fulfilled their cycle in your life. Some people entered your journey to teach you specific lessons, to share certain moments, to walk together for a stretch of the path. And when that stretch ends, when it becomes clear that you are going in different directions, clinging to these relationships out of sentimentality is harmful to both sides. Pay attention to the signs around you. Are there people in your life who constantly remind you of who you used to be? Who tell old stories as if you haven't changed at all? Who seem uncomfortable when you talk about your new interests, your new discoveries, your new goals? These people are unconsciously trying to keep you in a box you've long since outgrown. They may even say they know you better than anyone, but what they know is an old version of you, a version you've already left behind on your journey of evolution. And continuing to try to be that version so as not to disappoint them is a form of self-sabotage that is costing you dearly in terms of your spiritual development. Understand also that some people will feel threatened by your growth because it mirrors their stagnation. When you evolve, learn, and transform, you automatically show those around you that change is possible, that growth is available, that no one needs to remain trapped in their own limiting patterns. And for people who have chosen the comfort zone of non-evolution, your growing light is an uncomfortable mirror, so they will try, subtly or not so subtly, to pull you back to where you were together. They will question your changes, doubt your new choices, and make you feel guilty for moving forward. And if you give in to these manipulations, even if they come disguised as concern or care, you are allowing them to block your natural expansion. The sixth warning is a call for you to honor your own pace of growth without guilt, without fear, without looking back trying to carry those who are not ready to walk at the same speed. You can love these people from a distance, you can be grateful for what you shared in the past, but you can no longer allow them to hold you back. Your soul has commitments to evolution, your spirit hungers for learning, your essence needs to expand. And for this to happen fully, you need to be surrounded by people who are also in motion, who celebrate when you reach new heights, who inspire you with their own growth. Letting go of those who don't keep up is not coldness, it's spiritual wisdom. It's understanding that everyone has their own path, their own pace, their own destiny, and that keeping someone around out of obligation, when there is no longer true resonance, benefits no one. Free yourself, allow yourself to grow without breaks, and trust that the right people for this new phase of your life will appear naturally, attracted by the high frequency of your expanding light. Seventh warning. Break with those who use your generosity against you. The seventh spiritual warning the universe brings to you today, Gemini, is about a particularly painful type of blockage. You need to immediately break with all the people who use your natural generosity against you, who take advantage of your goodwill, and who turn your help into an acquired right. Your Gemini nature is naturally helpful. You like to help, to share knowledge, to facilitate connections between people, to use your communicative talents to benefit those around you. This generosity is a beautiful expression of your light. But when you are surrounded by people who don't value it, who simply take without ever giving anything in return, who exploit your kindness without any reciprocity, your light is not being honored. It is being drained. Let's be very clear about this harmful dynamic, because it's more common than you might think. There are people who quickly identify generous individuals like you and approach you precisely because of that. They don't want a balanced relationship. They want a constant provider of resources, attention, favors, and energy. These people always show up when they need something, always with a new emergency, always with another request. And if you're a typical Gemini, you probably oblige because you like being helpful, you like solving problems, you like the feeling of having made a difference. But what you may not have realized yet is that these people are never there when you need them. They never offer help in return. They never show genuine gratitude for what you do. The universe wants you to open your eyes to the energetic imbalance that exists in certain relationships in your life. Ask yourself honestly, how many times has that person sought you out just to ask for something compared to how many times have they sought you out just to be with you? When was the last time they offered spontaneous help without you asking? Do they show genuine appreciation for your generosity, or have they already begun to treat everything you do as an obligation? If the answers to these questions reveal a pattern of exploitation disguised as friendship, you need to understand that this person is not only blocking your light, they are actively draining your vital energy to feed their own comfort. The harsh but necessary truth is that some people confuse generosity with weakness. They think that if you keep giving, it's because you have no limits, don't value yourself enough, and won't say no. And the more you allow this to happen, the more these people feel entitled to demand. They even start to get offended when you eventually can't fulfill another request, as if you were failing in a responsibility that was never yours. This type of relationship is extremely toxic for a Gemini because you need exchanges, a two-way flow of energy, relationships where there is a balance of giving and receiving. When there is only giving on your part and receiving on the other's part, your light is gradually extinguished until you feel exhausted, used, and resentful. Understand also that keeping these people in your life is not only harming you, it's also preventing them from growing. When you always solve someone's problems, when you're always available to save them, when you don't allow them to face the consequences of their own choices, you're taking away their opportunity to develop inner resources, to mature, to become self-sufficient. your misdirected generosity may actually be contributing to their stagnation. And while this is happening, you're wearing yourself down. Your energy, which should be used for your own dreams and growth, is being channeled into supporting those who are unwilling to stand on their own 2 feet. The 7th warning is a call for you to reclaim your generosity from the hands of those who don't know how to honor it. This means learning to say no without guilt, establishing clear boundaries about what you are willing to offer and to whom, and especially distancing yourself from people who have repeatedly shown that they see you only as a resource to be exploited. Your help, your time, your energy, your knowledge, all of this is precious and should only be shared with those who demonstrate reciprocity, gratitude, and respect, not with those who treat you as a service available at any time. You deserve relationships where generosity flows both ways, where you are also cared for, where you also receive support when you need it. And to make room for these healthy relationships, you first need to clear your life of those who are blocking your light by exploiting your kindness. Your generosity is a divine gift. Treat it as such, share it wisely, and protect it from those who lack the maturity to value the treasure you offer. 8th warning. Stay away from those who sow doubt about your path. The 8th spiritual warning that the divine has prepared for you, dear Gemini, speaks of a very subtle but extremely harmful form of blockage. You need to immediately distance yourself from all the people who plant doubts about your path, who destructively question your choices, who make you feel insecure about decisions that your heart already knows are right. Your Gemini nature naturally carries a tendency to see multiple sides of every situation, to weigh different possibilities, to question internally until reaching conclusions. This is a strength when it comes from within, but it becomes a paralyzing weakness when external people exploit this characteristic to confuse you, to leave you in constant doubt, to prevent you from moving forward with confidence. Understand something important about this type of blockage. People who constantly question your choices usually do so not because they truly care about you, but because your courageous decisions make them uncomfortable. When you decide to follow an unconventional path, when you dare to do things differently, when you trust your intuition even if it goes against what everyone expects, you are showing a freedom that these people don't have the courage to exercise in their own lives. And instead of being inspired by you, instead of supporting you, they try to pull you back into the comfort zone where they themselves are trapped. And they do this by planting doubts, raising objections, pointing out all the possible risks, making you feel irresponsible or immature for following your own path. Think about the times you've shared a dream, a plan, or an important decision with someone close to you. How did that person react? Did they listen with an open mind, ask genuinely curious questions about how you arrived at that conclusion, and offer support even if they didn't fully understand? Or did they immediately start listing all the reasons why it wouldn't work, all the dangers involved, all the examples of people who tried and failed? This second reaction, often disguised as concern or realism, is actually an attempt to sabotage your confidence. And if you allow these external voices to have more power than your own inner voice, you will be eternally trapped in the paralysis of doubt, unable to move forward with anything. The universe wants you to understand that healthy doubt is the kind you generate internally through your own reflection, not the kind planted by people who don't want to see you shine. When you weigh a decision, research, seek information, consider different angles, and then arrive at a conclusion that makes sense to your heart, that decision deserves to be respected. You don't need external approval, you don't need everyone to understand, you don't need to convince anyone that you're making the right choice. You only need to trust yourself. But when you're surrounded by people who constantly undermine that confidence, who make you feel foolish for believing in something, who turn every decision you make into an endless debate, your inner light of certainty is extinguished until you can no longer make any decision without paralyzing anxiety. Pay attention also to people who use love as an excuse to sow doubt. How many times have you heard something like, "I'm saying this because I love you. It's concern. I only want what's best for you," while the person is clearly trying to make you give up on something important. True love supports you, even when it doesn't fully understand. Mature love trusts your ability to make decisions, to learn from mistakes if necessary, to follow your own journey. Control disguised as love, on the other hand, tries to keep you small, dependent, insecure, always needing external validation before making any move. And you, Gemini, need to learn to distinguish between these two things to protect your light. The 8th warning is a call for you to reclaim confidence in your own choices. This begins with you ceasing to share your important plans and decisions with people who have a history of sowing doubt. It's not about isolating yourself or not listening to advice. It's about being strategic about who you allow to influence your mind. Seek advice from people who are already where you want to be, who have the courage you are exercising, who understand the importance of following their own truth. And keep your distance from those who, consciously or unconsciously, use your natural insecurities as a tool to keep you trapped. Your intuition is wise, your choices are valid, your path is yours to follow. And no one who truly honors your light will try to convince you that you are lost when you know exactly where you are going. Trust yourself more, listen less to those who confuse you, and allow your light of determination to shine without the shadows of doubt planted by those who lack the courage to shine alongside you. Ninth warning. Get rid of those who don't respect your boundaries. The ninth spiritual warning the universe has prepared for you is about something absolutely fundamental to keeping your light protected. You need to get rid of all the people who don't respect your boundaries, who insist on invading your space even after you've made it clear where your limits are. Gemini, establishing healthy boundaries is not selfishness. It's not coldness. It's not a lack of love. It's a sacred act of protecting your own energy, a recognition that you have the right to decide how your energy will be used and who will have access to you. But when you live with people who see your boundaries as optional suggestions, who pressure you until you give in, who make you feel guilty for simply protecting yourself, your light is being violated in a way that causes deep and lasting damage. Let's talk openly about this dynamic because it's extremely common and destructive. There are people in your life who simply don't accept no for an answer. You say you can't help this time, they insist until you give in from exhaustion. You express that a certain issue bothers you. They keep bringing it up as if you hadn't said anything. You ask for space, they show up the next day as if nothing happened. You make it clear that a certain time is your rest time, they call it exactly that time with urgent demands. Each of these situations is a violation, a clear disrespect for your autonomy. And the worst part is that many times these people do this so naturally, so insistently, that you begin to doubt whether you really have the right to have boundaries. The universe wants you to understand with absolute clarity. You not only have the right, you have a spiritual obligation to establish and maintain healthy boundaries. Your energy is not infinite. Your time is precious, your peace of mind is sacred, and anyone who truly loves you will respect that, even if it is sometimes inconvenient for them. Mature people understand that boundaries are not rejection. They are a basic need for self-care. They may even be disappointed at some specific moment when you cannot meet their requests, but they respect it, they understand, they don't make you feel bad for taking care of yourself. Immature, manipulative, or simply egocentric people, on the other hand, will always try to break down your boundaries because they prioritize their own needs above your well-being. Pay attention to the tactics these people use. Some make a scene, cry, and throw tantrums when you say no, making you feel like an insensitive monster. Others use guilt, reminding you of everything they've done for you, as if that puts you in eternal debt. Some completely ignore what you said and simply continue acting as if your boundaries don't exist. Others accuse you of being selfish, of having changed, of no longer being the nice person you used to be. All of these are forms of emotional manipulation that have a single objective: to make you give up your boundaries so that they can continue accessing you in a way that is convenient for them, not in a way that is healthy for you. And here's the most serious problem. Every time you give in, every time you let someone overstep your boundaries, you're teaching that person that your words have no weight, that your will can be bent, that all it takes is insisting enough and you'll eventually get what they want. You're also sending yourself a terrible message, that you don't deserve respect, that other people's needs are more important than your own, that your peace can be sacrificed to keep other people comfortable. And this internalized message gradually extinguishes your light, transforming you into someone who lives to please, who no longer knows what they truly want or need, because they've spent so much time giving in that they've lost touch with their own essence. The ninth warning is an urgent call for you to reclaim the power of your boundaries. This means first making an honest assessment of who in your life has a pattern of disrespecting what you establish. Then it means having clear, straightforward conversations where you communicate exactly what is acceptable and what is no longer acceptable. And finally, and this is crucial, it means having the courage to apply consequences when boundaries are violated. If you say you will no longer discuss a certain subject and the person insists, you end the conversation. If you ask for space and the person doesn't respect it, you create physical or emotional distance. If you set a time when you shouldn't be disturbed and the person ignores it, you don't comply. Boundaries without consequences are just suggestions, and people who don't respect you need to learn through actions, not just words, that you are serious. Your light deserves to be protected. Your peace deserves to be defended. Your space deserves to be respected. And anyone who cannot do this does not deserve free access to you. Establish your boundaries firmly, maintain them consistently, and free yourself from those who insist on violating them. That's how you protect the precious light that you are. 10th warning. Stay away from those who live off gossip and intrigue. The 10th spiritual warning that the divine brings to you today, precious Gemini, speaks of an extremely toxic type of energy that can completely destroy your light. You need to immediately distance yourself from all people who live off gossip, intrigue, and manipulation of information. Your communicative, curious, and social nature can sometimes put you in situations where you end up exposed to people who use communication destructively, who spread rumors, who manipulate stories, who create confusion among people. And even if you don't actively participate in these dynamics, the simple fact of being near this energy contaminates your light and puts you in dangerous situations that can seriously harm your reputation and your relationships. Let's be very direct about this reality. There are people who have nothing substantial happening in their own lives, so they fill the void by gossiping about other people's lives. These people always have juicy news to share, always know about some scandal involving other people, always have a malicious interpretation of innocent situations, and they make it seem so natural, so fun even, that you can often get caught in their web without even realizing it. But what you urgently need to understand is that if someone gossips with you about other people, that person will almost certainly gossip about you when you're not around. There are no exceptions to this rule. The universe wants you to understand that this type of behavior is not only unpleasant, it's spiritually destructive. When you participate in conversations where people are being judged, criticized, or exposed without being present to defend themselves, you are allowing an energy of betrayal and falsehood to enter your energy field. Even if you weren't the one who started the gossip, even if you only listen, you become part of that dirty energy. And for a Gemini who has such a strong connection to communication, to words, to the exchange of information, being involved in dishonest communication dynamics is particularly harmful. It contaminates the very gift you came to develop in this life. Think about the people in your social circle. Are there those with whom, when you talk, you discuss ideas, projects, learning experiences, things you're building? And are there those with whom every conversation boils down to talking about other people's lives, criticizing, judging, dissecting others' mistakes, and creating malicious theories about people's intentions? The difference between these two types of interaction is the difference between nurturing your light and contaminating it. Substantial conversation elevates you, inspires you, and helps you grow. Gossip diminishes you, makes you paranoid, and causes you to waste precious time on negative energy that adds no value to your life. And there's an even greater danger in this dynamic. People who thrive on intrigue are usually also excellent manipulators. They know exactly how to twist information to create confusion, how to pit one person against another, how to remain seemingly innocent while causing chaos around them. If you keep these people close, you are putting yourself at risk of being used in their manipulations. Today they might be using you to obtain information about someone, tomorrow they might be using information about you to manipulate someone else. It's a dirty game where everyone loses, except the manipulative person who feeds on the drama they create. The 10th warning is a call for you to radically cleanse your social circles. You don't need quantity of friends or acquaintances, you need quality relationships. And quality means people who use communication to build, not to destroy. People who, if something bothers them about someone, will talk directly to that person, not spread it to everyone except those who could actually resolve the situation. People who celebrate others behind their backs, not those who destroy them behind their backs. People who keep secrets when you confide in them, not those who turn your vulnerability into entertainment for others. When you identify gossipy and scheming people in your life, the best strategy isn't confrontation, but silent distancing. Stop feeding these people information about your life. When they try to drag you into gossip, change the subject or remove yourself from the conversation. Gradually reduce contact until these people naturally realize that you no longer have the same closeness. And use the time and energy you spent on these toxic relationships to cultivate authentic connections with people who honor communication as the sacred tool it should be. Your light of communication is too powerful to be tarnished by the dirty energy of gossip and intrigue. Protect it, honor it, use it only in dynamics that uplift you and others. This is how you fulfill your communicative purpose in alignment with your highest spiritual truth. 11th warning. Break up with anyone who makes you feel guilty for being happy. The 11th spiritual warning that the universe has prepared for you, dear Gemini, touches on something deeply painful, but that needs to be addressed. You need to immediately break with all the people who make you feel guilty for being happy, for thriving, for experiencing good times. This is one of the cruelest forms of blocking light, because it directly attacks your ability to fully enjoy life's blessings. Your Gemini nature is naturally optimistic, capable of finding joy in small things, of getting excited about new things, of vibrating high when good things happen. But when you are surrounded by people who cannot rejoice with you, who always throw a bucket of cold water on your achievements, who make you feel selfish or insensitive for being well, your light of joy will gradually be extinguished. Let's talk about this perverse dynamic with all the clarity it deserves. There are people who are so immersed in their own difficulties, so addicted to their own suffering, that the happiness of others becomes a personal offense to them. When you arrive excitedly sharing something good that happened, these people immediately remind you of their own problems, as if your joy were an affront to their difficulties. They make you feel bad for being well, as if you don't have the right to celebrate while they are suffering. And if you are a typical Gemini with your sensitive heart and your tendency to worry about the feelings of others, you have probably caught yourself countless times downplaying your own joys, pretending you're not that happy, hiding achievements so as not to seem like you're showing off. The universe wants you to understand something liberating. You have every divine right to be completely happy, to celebrate your victories, to experience moments of intense joy without any guilt. Your happiness doesn't diminish anyone else's. Your success doesn't take away opportunities from others. Your joy doesn't invalidate the suffering of others. These are completely separate things. And emotionally mature people know this. They can go through difficult times and still genuinely rejoice when something good happens to them, because they understand that life is cyclical, that good and bad times alternate for everyone, and that someone's joy can even serve as inspiration and hope that good things are also possible. But immature people, people trapped in a victim mentality, people who have chosen to make suffering their own identity, these are the ones who will try to suck your joy. They will make comments that seem innocent but carry poison. When you recount an achievement, they say things like, "It must be good to be lucky. Not everyone has these opportunities. Enjoy it while it lasts." When you are visibly happy, they look at you with an expression that clearly says you are being inappropriate, exaggerated, irresponsible. And little by little, you internalize the message that being happy is something you should apologize for, something that needs to be hidden, minimized, almost as if it were a character flaw. The hard truth is that some people would rather see you at the same level of unhappiness as them than strive to climb out of their own rut and reach a similar level of joy. It's easier to try to drag you down than to do the personal work necessary to rise. And as long as you allow these people to have power over how you feel about your own victories and joys, you are handing control of your light to those who definitely shouldn't have it. Your happiness is your responsibility to protect. Your joy is a divine gift that deserves to be lived fully. Your achievements deserve to be celebrated with enthusiasm and pride. The 11th warning is a call for you to reclaim your right to be fully happy without asking permission or apologizing to anyone. This means identifying the people in your life who consistently diminish your joy, who make you feel bad for being happy, who can never genuinely rejoice in your victories. And once identified, it means making the conscious decision to no longer share your moments of joy with these people. Save your good news for those who know how to celebrate with you. Share your enthusiasm with those who multiply that energy instead of draining it. And regarding those who cannot rejoice for you, maintain a safe emotional distance. You can even maintain some level of interaction if necessary, but never again give them the power to influence how you feel about the good things in your life. Your joy is sacred, your happiness is a right, your celebrations deserve guilt-free enthusiasm. Shine brightly, laugh loudly, celebrate every victory, feel every moment of joy deeply. And if someone can't handle your brilliance, the problem is exclusively theirs, never yours. Your light of joy doesn't need external approval to exist in all its magnitude. 12th warning. Stay away from those who deny your spiritual truth. The 12th and final spiritual warning that the universe has prepared for you, precious Gemini, touches the deepest part of your essence. You need to completely distance yourself from all people who deny, ridicule, or diminish your spiritual truth, your connection with the divine, your journey of awakening consciousness. This is perhaps the deepest blockage of all, because when someone attacks your spirituality, that person is trying to extinguish the very source of your light. And for a Gemini on a journey of spiritual evolution, maintaining ties with people who mock this sacred part of who you are can cause incalculable damage to the development of your soul. You've probably noticed that as you awaken spiritually, as you connect more deeply with universal truths, with subtle energies, with the ancestral wisdom that exists beyond the rational mind, some people begin to distance themselves or treat you differently. There are those who simply don't understand but respect your path, and those aren't the problem. The problem is those who actively try to make you feel foolish, naive, crazy, or manipulated for believing in things they can't comprehend. These are the people who roll their eyes when you talk about energies, who laugh when you mention synchronicities, who accuse you of running away from reality when in fact you are expanding your own understanding of what is real. The universe wants you to understand that your spiritual journey doesn't need to make sense to anyone but yourself. You don't need to convince anyone of the validity of your experiences. You don't need to prove that what you feel and perceive is real. You don't need to defend your connection with the divine. People who are on similar spiritual vibrations to yours will naturally recognize and respect your path, even if they follow different practices. People who haven't yet awakened to these dimensions of existence simply don't have the frame of reference to understand, and that's completely normal. The problem arises when these people, instead of humbly admitting that they don't understand but respect, try to invalidate your experience using rational arguments to delegitimize something that goes beyond reason. Think about how many times you felt small, foolish, or ashamed for sharing something spiritual with someone close to you and receiving mockery or disbelief in response. How many times have you refrained from mentioning a strong intuition because you knew you would be ridiculed? How many times have you hidden important spiritual practices from yourself because you were afraid of judgment? Each of these situations is evidence that you are surrounded by people who block your spiritual light. And keeping these people in positions of intimacy in your life is like trying to grow a delicate plant in poisoned soil. No matter how much you water it, no matter how much you care for it, the poison of the environment will always prevent full blooming. The truth is that as you evolve spiritually, you naturally become vibrationally incompatible with people who are too attached to the material world, to rigid skepticism, to the refusal to consider dimensions of existence that go beyond what the five senses can perceive. And this is not judgment. It doesn't mean you are better or worse than these people. It simply means that you are at different stages of the evolutionary journey. And trying to maintain forced proximity with those who are on a very different frequency from yours causes suffering for both sides. You feel misunderstood, judged, diminished. And on their side, they probably feel uncomfortable with changes they perceive in you, but cannot understand. The 12th warning is a call for you to fully honor your spiritual truth without shame, without diminishing yourself, without seeking validation from those who are not prepared to understand. This means you need to create a clear separation between those with whom you share the most sacred parts of yourself and those with whom you maintain only superficial contact. Not everyone deserves access to your spiritual insights, your experiences of connection with the divine, the practices that strengthen you spiritually. These are precious pearls that should only be shared with those who have eyes to see their value. Actively seek to build a spiritual tribe, a circle of people who are on similar awakening journeys to yours. These people will understand you without you needing to over-explain. They will respect your practices even if they are different from their own. They will celebrate your spiritual growth because they are on the same path of expanding consciousness. And as you strengthen these aligned connections, it will naturally become easier to distance yourself from people who cannot honor this part of you. There doesn't need to be conflict. There doesn't need to be dramatic breakups. Simply acknowledge that you are on different paths, and that it's okay for each of you to go your own way. Your spiritual truth is the purest essence of your light. It's where all your strength, all your wisdom, all your capacity to positively impact the world around you springs from. And protecting this truth from those who don't know how to honor it isn't about closing yourself off or being intolerant. It's about being wise enough to recognize that not all soil is suitable for all seeds. You are a seed of light in the process of full bloom, and you deserve to be planted in fertile soil, surrounded by gardeners who understand and respect the unique beauty you are destined to manifest in this world. Don't allow anyone to make you doubt the validity of your spiritual connection anymore. Don't accept ridicule of what is sacred to you. Distance yourself with love, with firmness, with the certainty that you are protecting what is most precious within you. And trust that by doing so, you are creating space for truly aligned relationships to enter your life. People who will recognize, respect, and celebrate the magnitude of the spiritual light you carry. If this message resonated with your zodiac sign, trust me, it's no coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal, and you're here because you needed to hear this today. Your contribution as a subscriber or member is what keeps these messages alive. Messages that touch, awaken, and transform lives. And if this video made sense to you, leave your birth date in the comments. We have reached the end of this powerful journey through the 12 spiritual warnings that the divine has prepared especially for you, Gemini. If you followed each warning with an open heart, if you allowed these truths to penetrate deeply into your consciousness, you are no longer the same person who started watching this video. Something has changed within you. A seed of courage has been planted. A decision is being gestated. And this decision has the power to completely transform your life from now on. These 12 warnings are not just information. They are calls to action. The universe is inviting you at this moment to do a deep and necessary cleansing in all areas of your life. It is asking you to look with brutal honesty at who you have allowed to occupy space in your journey and ask yourself, are these people adding light or blocking light? Are they lifting me up or pulling me down? Are they honoring who I truly am or trying to mold me into who they need me to be? The answers to these questions will show you exactly what moves you need to make. And I know it's not easy, my dear Gemini. I know that cutting ties, creating distance, setting firm boundaries, all these actions can seem daunting at first. Especially for you who have such a generous heart, who value human connections, who don't like to hurt anyone. But you need to understand something fundamental. Protecting your light isn't about hurting others, it's about honoring yourself. And when you truly honor yourself, when you finally choose your own evolution above the need to please everyone, you're not being selfish, you're being wise. You're fulfilling the divine purpose that brought you into this world. Think about it. How many incredible opportunities have you let pass you by because you were too busy supporting people who don't support you in return? How many dreams have you postponed because you were investing energy in relationships that only drain you? How many better versions of yourself have you never reached because you were trapped in toxic dynamics that kept you small? Every person who blocks your light is literally stealing from you the bright future the universe has planned. And there comes a time when you need to say, enough. I deserve more. I choose more. And that moment is now. In the coming days and weeks, pay close attention to the signs the universe will continue to send. You will notice with increasing clarity who are the people who drain your energy and who are those who multiply it. You will feel the effects of each interaction in your body, in your inner peace, in your emotions. And as you make decisions aligned with these spiritual warnings, as you create space by letting go of what no longer serves you, you will witness something magical happening. New people, incredible opportunities, powerful synchronicities will begin to appear in your life. Because nature does not accept a vacuum. When you remove what blocks you, you automatically open the way for what uplifts you to enter. And always remember, you're not abandoning anyone by making these choices. You're simply acknowledging that each person has their own journey, their own time, their own lessons to learn. And trying to carry someone who doesn't want to walk will only prevent both of you from reaching where you need to go. Some people have entered your life to teach you difficult lessons, to show you what you no longer want to accept, to strengthen you through the challenge of finally setting boundaries. And when the lesson is complete, holding on to these people out of sentimentality only prolongs the suffering of everyone involved. Your light, precious Gemini, is a divine gift given not only to you, but through you to the world. When you shine fully, when you allow yourself to be all that you were meant to be, you inspire others to do the same. You show the people around you that it is possible to live authentically, joyfully, purposefully, and freely. You become a beacon of possibilities in a world that often tries to convince people that they need to settle for less than they deserve. And that is your greatest calling, your most important spiritual mission. So I invite you now at this moment to make a sacred commitment to yourself. Look into your heart and declare aloud or in your thoughts, I choose my light. I choose to surround myself only with people who honor who I truly am. I choose to protect my energy as the precious treasure that it is. I choose to say no without guilt, to set boundaries without fear, to distance myself from those who diminish me without remorse. I choose to shine, and I allow only those who are ready to shine alongside me to remain by my side. This is my commitment to myself, to my soul, to the divine that lives within me. And nothing and no one will ever make me betray this commitment again. And if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, now is the perfect time to do so. Click the subscribe button, turn on notifications, because we continue to bring you powerful messages like this one that will support you every step of the way on your journey of evolution and expansion. And if these words touched your heart in any way, if you feel you need to support us so that we can continue bringing light through these messages, consider becoming a channel member. Every contribution, every subscription, every like, every comment, all of this strengthens the current of light we are building together. Leave your birth date in the comments below, so I know you're committed to this transformation. And if you know another Gemini who urgently needs to hear these warnings, share this video with them. Sometimes a message like this arrives exactly when someone needs the courage to make necessary changes. Be the instrument through which the universe delivers this message to those who need it. May the 12 spiritual warnings you receive today transform into 12 concrete decisions that will completely change the quality of your relationships and your life. May you have the courage to let go of what needs to be let go, the wisdom to recognize who truly deserves to be by your side, and the strength to protect your light from any and all blockages. You are a powerful being of light, with an important mission in this world, and the time has come for you to fully embrace this power, without fear, without excuses, without allowing anyone to diminish you any longer. Shine, Gemini, shine, because the world desperately needs the unique light that only you can offer. And so it shall be today and always.